Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad to be here with you all this morning. And I was actually fortunate enough that just about a week ago, I was in another beautiful place walking along the coast of Maine, visiting some friends. And as I was sort of wandering along and the road was turning into a dirt path and the rocky beach was getting closer, I ran into my friend's dad. This is someone who I've known for a long time, and he was out walking the dog, and we got to talking and walking together. And he started to share with me about this small, close-knit rural community that he had been coming to live with every summer for his whole life, and a board of advisors that he was on for a project that the community was undertaking. And it sort of turned into a tale as old as time. He started telling me about these two women on the board who he really couldn't stand. They just were annoying to him for no good reason, not because they were bad people, far from it, and they just, for whatever reason. And what struck me, though, was what came next, is he started sort of wondering out loud to me about these judgmental thoughts that he was having toward them, these harsh views, and he was saying how he really didn't want to be thinking that way. He didn't want to be feeling that way towards them. He wanted really to change. What I heard in it was his wish, a fundamental wish that I think all of us have, which is just to be a good person, to be a little bit kinder, a little bit more patient, a little bit less judgmental. And it actually reminded me of something that my Dharma teacher said once. This is a woman who's been a Buddhist nun for decades. And before that, though, she was a regular old school teacher in California. And I can't remember exactly when, but at some point, someone was interviewing her and asked her why she decided to start practicing Buddhism. And she paused and she said something along the lines of, "I just wanted to be kinder." It's an impulse that speaks to the inherent goodness in all of us. And it also speaks to our wisdom that knows that nothing good comes from these feelings, from judgmentalness, from meanness, from impatience, whatever it might be. And it's an impulse that is captured in the image and the method of Tara. Tara is a Buddhist deity of active compassion, and she's loved by Buddhist practitioners all over the world. It's actually said her origin story is that there's this other Buddha. He's the Buddha of compassion. His name is Avalokiteshvara. You don't have to remember that. And he was looking out one day over all of the suffering in the entire universe, all of the beings, the humans, the insects, all of the beings that don't have any form, that we can't see, and seeing all of their suffering, he was so overwhelmed with grief that he started to weep. And from one of those tears, it said that Tara was born. And she said to him, as soon as she was born, "Don't despair. I will help you to liberate all beings from their suffering." So she symbolizes, she embodies that expression of active love that engages directly with the world and with others' suffering. And she's actually so loved and so close to so many Buddhist practitioners' hearts that the founder of this same tradition of Buddhism that I practice in, that my teacher practices in, a beloved, renowned master, he referred to her as Mommy Tara. And it's believed that devotion to her causes all of one's genuine and beneficial wishes to be fulfilled, up to and including complete enlightenment, complete freedom from suffering. But I am thinking of her in conversation with this man I'm walking with because Tara is nothing if not an icon of skillful means, which means that she responds to the suffering of every being, yes, but she does so with discernment and appropriateness. She crucially has the wisdom to know exactly how to engage effectively. She knows how to intervene to bring about the kind of beneficial change that this humble man was wishing for. These qualities of Tara were reflected in his longing to become more patient, and he was asking questions to try to find his own way to just this kind of skillful means. And the first step in that is cultivating mindfulness. It's something that my friend's dad was already practicing, and if you've ever had a similar thought, something that you want to change about yourself, a way that you want to be better, you're practicing it too, because it's about noticing in the moment when it's happening, when the state of mind that we want to change is arising, and also what it feels like. For example, sitting at the meeting table, listening to the person who annoys you go on and on about themselves, that thought comes up. Oh, no wonder her second marriage just ended. Or you're having the 20th conversation with your relative or your partner about communication style, and you're thinking, okay, I just want this to end, but also I want to make sure that they know that they're really wrong. When those thoughts are there, when you feel the sensation of the judgmental thought, the harsh view arise, it's about noticing how it feels in your body, because our bodies are our barometers. And when we tune into where and how these states of mind live in our body, we can easily start to cultivate the motivation to change them, because not only are these thoughts and feelings harming our relationships, but they feel bad. They feel tight in the chest. They feel foggy behind the eyes. They feel like shortness of breath. Essentially, having negative feelings towards ourselves or others is highly uncomfortable. And our bodies tell us when we are not aligned with love and compassion. The work comes with learning how to be sensitive to what our bodies are telling us. And I wanna pause here, because cultivating mindfulness is a long process. I know that many of you know that. It requires a lot of diligence, and it is full of unexpected obstacles. And I wanna highlight one of them, because it's really common, and it's really easy to skip over, and it is self-love. And I bring Tara back in again here because as our icon of active compassion, her love for us is so complete and so honest that it can be a support and an inspiration for us as we learn to love ourselves. And Tara's love, just like this kind of true love for ourselves that I'm talking about, it's not based in pumping up our ego or convincing ourselves that we have no flaws and that thing that we want to change is actually just fine the way that it is. It's based instead on understanding the reality of our situation. It's a self-love that is clear-eyed and practical, and it's the kind of love that Tara represents. It means recognizing the fact that love and kindness feels really good, and that we are just as capable and we are just as deserving of cultivating love and kindness as anybody else. We actually possess all of the same raw materials as any saint or monk or Buddha. We have a mind, we have a body, and we have the ability to put our intentions into action. All that we're missing, and what again I heard in the words of this man I was walking with, are some of the tools maybe for how to do it, and the commitment and the determination and the inspiration to put in the work. Self-love actually means acknowledging that perfection is a fallacy and that the nature of being a living creature is that we are fallible. Contrary to self-indulgence, self-love is in the nature of humility because it recognizes our interconnection with all other beings, and it holds ourselves as neither higher nor lower than them. Personally, I've had to battle a lot of self-criticism just to be able to approach this kind of self-love and to approach those parts of me that maybe I'd like to change without it just becoming a swirl of anxiety. Cultivating mindfulness isn't just about being able to still your thoughts and extend your attention span. That in and of itself is completely neutral. It won't get us very far on that path towards transformation. Instead, our mindfulness needs to merge completely with love, with Tara, so that we can clear out the baggage that we have between our consciousness and the thing that it is that we're trying to observe, that we're trying to be mindful of. Because if that object of mindfulness makes us feel bad about ourselves, no matter how solid our concentration is, we are not going to look at it. We have to have a wholesome view of ourselves. We have to have self-love that is aligned with our inherent worth as a living being. Then we are able to look directly into the darker parts of ourselves with openness and honesty, and with an authentic wish for these parts to transform into light. Not because they're wrong or bad, not because we feel unworthy because of them, but the opposite, because we realize that in fact we are completely worthy of being free of these negative states of mind. With this view, in the moment when we notice that we're becoming defensive, mean-spirited, what is able to arise right alongside at the exact same moment is a wish for ourselves, not a demand of ourselves, but a wish to have a more wholesome experience, because it will feel better. It will feel better in our minds and in our bodies, and because we know that it will benefit others. Eventually, we will know our true nature of goodness so completely that we will only want well-being for ourselves equally as much as we want it for others. And in these moments, Tara meets us swiftly, and the change that we're seeking will come. Now, of course, if Tara isn't in your spiritual language, she's probably not going to come to you as Tara. That would be kind of wild. It may be the image, sound, or sensation of another religious figure. It may be some entity describable only to you as God or as nothing at all. It may be in just a quiet moment right when you wake up or before you fall asleep. Or it might be when you're out in nature and the breeze blows past you or the sun shines upon you. But it will come, because the thing is that we're already constantly changing. Whether we like it or not, it's just the nature of existence. And yes, we also all have some deeply ingrained habits, some of which don't cause happiness for ourselves or others. It's okay to want to change those habits. It is, in fact, a beautiful aspiration. Just like my Dharma teacher, we can devote our lives to becoming more kind. We can commit to minimizing our judgment of others and increasing our patience. All that means is that we want to be an active participant in our own changing that's already taking place, and we want to do it with clear vision and with an open heart. And doing so will require us to look directly and honestly at ourselves, not as the enemy, but with forgiveness, with love, and with understanding. And the funny part is, by doing so, the change has already happened. We are already in devotion to Tara because her essence is flowing through us. We're acting out her loving intention in our own bodies, hearts, and minds. Habits that cause discomfort, negative feelings towards others, or harsh views about ourselves will begin to dissolve because we will see just how useless and painful they are. Changing will become a natural result of our clear seeing rather than a tiresome task of punishment. By putting in this work to become fully mindful and genuinely loving, small moment by small moment, we become different. It's just inevitable. By cultivating the wish to be better in a spirit of love, patience, and joy, we begin to embody the truth of who and what we already are, which is good. Thank you.